Welcome back, everybody. We're beginning where we left off last time. The last video ended with this shot of the screen where we have the two variables represented and outcome. And I pointed out in that video that the key to understanding both variables is that they have both of them two attributes. For the represented, we have represented and not represented. And then for the outcome, we have guilty and not guilty. Now what we're going to do is something a little different. When we switch at the bottom here, I'm going from the variable view, which we've already set up our variables nicely. We're going to go to the data view. And when I click over to there, you can see what I've already done. You can see that I've already filled in the data categories as if I had already taken the data. So the way you read this is person number 1 was not represented but found guilty. Person number 2 was represented and found not guilty. So again, with a chi-square, we're looking at sets of nominal level variables and their attributes for comparison. One thing I want to point out to you with regard to SPSS is that when you're on this screen and you have the data filled in like this, do you see this little box up here? It shows the 1 and the A. It says value labels. If I click on it, watch what happens to the data set. Aha! Remember in the previous slide, the variable view, we've got, what did we have here? 1 represents represented, 2 represents not represented, whereas, here, oops, sorry about that. Okay, let's take a look at this. Okay, 1 for the second variable represents guilty, and 2 represents not guilty. So, going back to the data view, we have, okay, number 1, the first person I interviewed. Okay, hypothetically, I did all of this by flipping coins. So what I did was I took person number 1 and I flipped a coin head or tails. If it came up heads, I put a 1. If it came up tails, I put a 2. So for the first person I hypothetically interviewed in my fictional world, I flipped a coin, it came up tails, so I put a 2. For this particular column outcome, I flipped the coin again, it came up heads. So this was a person who had a 2 and a 1, or was not represented and was found guilty. So the way I would do this very easily is, let's just say instead of 30 participants, I had 31. Okay, and let's say I flipped the coin and it came up heads. I just simply put a 1, and then I would flip over and put, let's say I roll it again and I got a 2. Okay, flipped it again, I got a 2. Okay, see how it does that? Now when I come up here to this particular button, we push that, flips it back and forth. So I could either write in represented or not guilty, or I could simply put a 1 and a 2 and it'll come up as such. So I'm going to go ahead and erase these because I only wanted an N of 30. So we have an N equals 30, and that is how I added the data. Again, I had nominal level variables, so it could either be a 1 or a 2 for each column and each category, represented or the outcome. So 1 and 2 here, 1 and 2 here. And that's about all there was to it with regard to the process. I'm having you take a look at this because in the future I'm going to ask you to do something similar on your own. But we'll get to that. And in the meantime, hopefully this video made sense and you got a clear picture of how I've set things up. The next video is going to go to the analysis of the chi-square, since I have the variables created and the data entered. So that's going to be my next project. Okay, thanks so much. I'll talk to you real soon. Bye-bye.